welcome to the first episode in the Road to Manchester Marathon series. So I've decided to document 6 episodes worth of the final 6 weeks of training for Manchester Marathon, which is mid-April, I think the 16th of April this year. The kind of things that I want people to get out of it is just seeing what it's like. It's all well and good saying this particular session, like a tempo run, a long run is going to help your marathon training, but a lot of the work involves what you do on a week-to-week basis, particularly around that taper period, so getting into the last couple of weeks before race day. So that's something in the, say, episode 4 and 5 I'll go into a bit more detail on that taper, talk about what sort of gels and fueling strategy, pacing strategies to use. I think it would be really useful to see the training that goes into what my target will be to run a sub-3 marathon. So the format of the series, it will follow a similar theme to what I did in the recent series for the Road to Frankfurt Marathon, but I am just focusing on the last 6 weeks worth of training. So just to put things into a bit more context, I've been training not specifically for this marathon. I've been trying to do some sort of 10k, 5k work to work on my speed, but I've been in decent shape and to run a marathon for the last sort of 2 months or so. Been doing around about 50 miles roughly a week on average, with a couple of sessions, so that's a bit of a training background. And now I'm just approaching probably the peak weeks of a marathon, looking to do 60, maybe even touch up to 70 in the next couple of weeks, but still keep the intensity in the sessions of a week. So a few stats on my marathon background. So I've done around, say, about 12 road marathons before, done about 4 of them just under 3 hours, with the quickest being 2:57, and recently in the Frankfurt marathon series in October, I was training for around a 2:50, trying to break that 2:50 mark, but I unfortunately fell just short. I'll have to find out in the videos, pop a link to them in the comments to see how I fared at that. But what the plan is at Manchester, I'm planning on pacing my friend and athlete who I coach, Robbie. So Robbie Cresswell-Howe, he's going to go for sub 3 hours for it's his second marathon. He ran just under 3:20, ran brilliantly at London, and he's just dipped under 80 minutes for the half, which shows he's got the speed to go under that 3 hours. I'm just going to try and pace him round and use that experience to get him round under that magic 3 hour barrier. So Robbie will probably feature in quite a few of these videos throughout the series. So today's session, we're here at the Washlands, joined by Jakey. So he's going to be doing the tempo session. He's been listening along to the 5k series for the faster parkrun. We're going to do a 4-mile tempo, so similar to the session that I did on the video, but we're going to hit around 6:40 a mile pace. So that's roughly what we're targeting for a 20-minute parkrun at the weekend. So let's get into the session. To start the week, I didn't run on Monday. I was travelling back from Edinburgh that day and didn't take any running stuff with me. Moving on to Tuesday's run, so went at lunchtime and did that 4-mile tempo with Jacob. So that was quite a good little session there, around about 6:30 to 6:35 pace on the 4-mile tempo. I then ran on Wednesday with Steve, so
was meeting up with Steve for about 6 mile run, quite a hilly run there, and it ended up being nearly 11 miles for me as running to his and back. And it's all uphill on the way there, so I had a nice little climb for 3 or 4 miles on the way there, 6 miles with Steve, and then ran back down the hill. So quite a good run on getting some mileage in on Wednesday.
Good morning on Saturday. So here today at a very fresh Long Eaton parkrun at West Park in Long Eaton. It's around about -2 degrees and a little bit of frost on the ground. But yeah, should be decent running conditions. There's no ice. So here today to do a 3x5k session, which is one of my big sessions for the marathon block, which I'm going to be doing with Robbie. So what the pace targets are going to be for these, we're going to aim to do the 5Ks in 20 minutes or just under 20 minutes. So that's around 6:25 a mile, or even easier in kilometres is 4-minute kilometres. And then in between each of the 5Ks, we're going to have a mile jog recovery. So it might be a bit quicker than a normal jog. It's probably going to be about 7:30 a mile for that mile in between. So 3 lots of 5K. We'll do a couple of miles warm up just to get warmed up on this cold day, and then aim to start in about 15 minutes time. Check in the session. So we're just coming up to 2 miles now, the end of the warm up. Just going to go straight into the session from here, because it's that sort of long run tempo style session. I don't tend to normally do a full stop and warm up. Probably would in the summer, go through some strides, activation, that kind of stuff, but just because it's that cold, just going to roll straight into it. To be fair, we've been warming up, just looking at my watch now, 7:07 pace, so not too far off where we're going to be 6:25s on the reps, so just going to go straight into it. On the second 5k now, just coming into the last half a mile. Just approaching the end of the first lap of parkrun, so the finish is down there on the second lap. Sorry, down this next one. We'll just go past on the left for lap 2. There we go, last 500 metres now. Just coming into the finish line now. Session done. So just do a bit of a roundup of the time. So that third 5k was the end of the park run. I reckon I got bang on 20 minutes roughly by what my watch said. So got Jakey here, just coming back from injury. What did you get, Jake?
It was 19:08.
19:08, smashed it, because we did that sort of 6:30 pace 4 mile tempo midweek, so that's really good going for 19:08. And then I'll just hand over to Robbie on his phone.
On Strava it says 18 flat, so I don't think I'm 18 flat.
18 flat, but maybe just over on the official time.
Well, that's not bad for 3x5.
Yeah, so
Marathon training.
Robbie's done that was a third of his 5k, a bit like me this morning, so we did about 19:45ish for the first 2, when he's gone and dropped to low 18, and as he says, yeah, dropped everyone, showing him a clean pair of heels on that last 5k.
My next run, so I didn't run on Thursday and Friday, just had quite a bit going on and didn't manage to get out for a run, so I was a bit disappointed not to get out then, but it did make up for it on Saturday. Had a great session at that Long Eaton Park run, which I've been over in quite a bit of detail there. So to go into more detail on the splits, looking around about 19:45 for both of the first 2 5Ks, so that's working out about 6:20 a mile pace. And then onto the third 5k, did end up been slightly over. I was like 20.05 on the parkrun results, so slightly over what I was aiming for, 6:26s, although my watch was saying around 6:25, 6:26s, but still a good session. Really pleased with that one on Saturday. I had a great run on Sunday, so did a long run with Robbie, and it was around about 18 miles there, bang on, at about 7:27 a mile there, so quite a flat run. Did struggle a bit towards the end, probably getting on 12-13 miles, just because I hadn't really hydrated properly, I think, going into the run, and we're suffering a bit with that. So next time we'll make sure I get a big glass of water beforehand and hydrate well the day previously as well. So I was probably a little underhydrated from the Saturday session and the rest of the day on Saturday, and should have had a bit more water in the morning. So that was probably just a little thing that's crept up on me a couple of times before, but I need to remember when going out for these runs, stay hydrated and get a good run in. So to sum up the whole week, in general, still quite a good week. 49 miles, a little bit down on mileage is where I'd like to be, and I'd probably have liked to get another session in midweek, but I suppose the positives were that brilliant session with 3x5k on Saturday, got a good long run in on Sunday as well, and I did still manage a bit of a session on Tuesday, I think it was, on Tuesday, with that tempo there. So overall pretty pleased with the week. Next week, trying to look at doing try and run 6 or 7 times next week and get out and push that mileage up to about 60-65, and where I should be in peak mileage at the moment for the next couple of weeks, with 5 weeks to go now until Manchester. So for the next couple of weeks I'm going to try and hit about 65 miles a week with a couple of sessions midweek, and then a session on either the Saturday or the Sunday there. So thanks for listening along to this week's episode, and we'll be back next week with week 2 of the Road to Manchester.